Now, look, the joyless Joy Reid over at MSNBC, she really never ceases to amaze. You just never know what she will say next. But this time she's compared not giving gender-altering hormones to minors to Nazi Germany.
It is an age-old tradition, which Nazi Germany did with brutally violent ends in the 1930s. While the Supreme Court refuses to do anything about weapons of war in schools, today they seemed inclined to uphold Tennessee's ban on gender-affirming care for minors. While the decision is not expected for months, a majority of the justices parroted a string of debunked talking points, all under the guise of protecting the kids, just not every kid.
Brad, how does she come up with this stuff? No wonder her ratings have tanked.
It's so delusional and hysterical. I mean, this MSNBC anchor actually just compared opposing child sex changes to Nazi Germany. I don't know. I think it's actually profoundly insulting to victims of the Holocaust and to the Jewish people to throw that around like candy on Halloween and in the process dilute the memory of such a grave and serious allegation and accusation. They clearly have gone down this path of the boy who cried wolf. And that's why I think a lot of people don't believe the mainstream media, don't believe progressives or Democratic politicians when they throw around these accusations and allegations. Even on the rare instances they've maybe actually correctly identified something bigoted or bad, no one listens to them anymore, and it's their own fault because they're so ridiculous and hyperbolic all the time.
Yeah, that is absolutely true. I want to talk about Joe Biden for a moment. He led the traditional White House Christmas tree lighting ceremony on Thursday. But it wasn't the tree, it was Biden's hair that became the talking point. Brad, give me your thoughts on this photo of the US president that has gone viral. He looks like Ebenezer Scrooge after having just seen all three ghosts of Christmas past.
Gosh, there's two things here, right? On one hand, it feels like elder abuse. It feels terrible what they've done to this guy. He's clearly so far past it. It's been apparent for such a long time, and they exploited him to cling to power. They until the last possible second thought he could potentially beat Trump, so they were willing to put up somebody who's clearly past it. But on the other hand, it's also scary that this is the guy who it's 1:30 in the morning right now here in Michigan in the US. A crisis could unfold and the president could be expected to roll out of bed in the middle of the night. Does anyone really think this guy would be sharp and able to make a tough decision with the advice of generals with 5 minutes with a nuclear alert coming in? Of course not. So it's petrifying, honestly. You can say a lot of things about Donald Trump, but at least he's sharper and more with it than this. That's a low bar.
He looks like that guy from Back to the Future. It's just shocking. Now, look, in more proof that Jill Biden, a.k.a. Dr. Jill, voted for Donald Trump despite the Democrats for ousting her husband, here they are all buddy-buddy. Have a look at this at the reopening of Notre Dame in France, having a little chat, Brad. Maybe Trump isn't Hitler or a dictator after all.
Yeah, it's an interesting one because on one hand, I actually give the Democrats a little bit of credit on this. They've been fairly civil and respectable about the transition of power, and they've extended an olive branch to Trump. Biden had him at the White House, and all of that I like. That's the approach to politics I want to see in America. But on the other hand, it's like, hold up. 5 minutes ago, you guys were telling us this guy is literally Hitler, and now you're doing photo ops and smiling and shaking his hand and welcoming him and all this stuff. If you had actually believed any of that, I don't think that's how you would be handling this. So it suggests to me, on one hand, that they are being civil for once, which I do appreciate, but on the other hand, that they're rhetorical frauds in many ways. But then again, we kind of knew that.
We knew that indeed. Brad Polumbo, you do it every week. Thanks for helping us make sense of the United States.
Thanks, guys.